Episode 1 of The Gold Mafia.
We love the gangster lifestyle. You live by the gun, you die by the gun.
The biggest challenge Zimbabwe now faces is the gold mafia.
Al Jazeera's investigative unit infiltrates the rival gangs that control Africa's gold.
Hello, Abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now, on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans one years is never good out at all. About cock, I'm a what so.
Or don't. It's what now I'm on why you say. A crow.
Sakakarere, a yam, a crow, a juniper bosso, and nunye, Sunburst medicated ointment, a bebwao.
Maposu, Nihuna to me.
Who when Pedro be Onia, meant na home man when I'm out and who in the massy. What posu complaining na, add so betra, Cotto Sunburst herbal balm. You're from Mama Sunburst. Sunburst products, educhem.
Obenya Sunburst products, our pharmacies, any herbal shops in there. To phone friend 0551 907 393. FDA, I did Jadi and Kratuyatum.
Episode 1 of The Gold Mafia.
We love the gangster lifestyle. You live by the gun, you die by the gun.
The biggest challenge Zimbabwe now faces is the gold mafia.
Al Jazeera's investigative unit infiltrates the rival gangs that control Africa's gold.
As long as you grease the wheels in Africa, there's no issue.
Smuggling. That's what it is, smuggling.
All the paper trail is legitimate. It's not like somebody can question it.
Former members of the Gold Mafia speak exclusively to the I Unit.
The Gold Mafia is bigger than the government, bigger than any of the authorities.
What do you think is going to happen?
They kill you, don't they?
Exactly.
Undercover journalists pose as gangsters who want to launder more than $100 million.
It is black money. These funds are substantial.
The I Unit obtains thousands of confidential documents that expose how organized crime groups use gold to launder money.
You sold it to a refinery and the money got paid in the bank account. So it's very clean that way.
Once it's refined, it's practically brand new gold.
A good washing machine, right?
The money to be invested, it's not in the books in Hong Kong or China.
It is black money. These funds are substantial.
Is it 100 million? Is it 50 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 20 million? Is it what?
It's more than 100.
Okay.
Kamlesh Patni is one of Africa's most notorious gold dealers. He calls himself Brother Paul after founding his own church.
We try to move our money to find investment overseas.
Mr. Stanley leads the I Unit's undercover team. They're posing as gangsters who need to launder dirty cash from China.
It's very important to get the right person.
Yeah.
That's a starting point.
That's it, yeah.
I'm going to give it to you in a very crude way. As way of explanation, they're looking for a Hawala system.
Yes.
To get the money out.
Yeah, sure.
Johnny is posing as a black market trader, our Hawala man, who moves money across borders without using banks.
And the Hawala system is based on trust.
Trust
and connections.
Yes.
But we need advice.
Base. Infrastructure.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
sure.
invest in you.
Yeah, if you're...
Because you have all the connections.
Structure already.
No, if you have the trust...
Patni claims to have the trust of Africa's leaders.
Glory be to God, yeah. This is the President Mugabe.
Oh, Mugabe.
This is me. I got the award as Lifetime Africa Achievement Award. This is Uganda.
That's you.
This is me.
Patney was made a peace ambassador by the Kenyan Council of Elders.
This is the president of Kenya, Kibaki. This is the king from Ivory Coast. This is the president of South Africa at that time, Zuma. That is, of course, the AU, Africa Union chairman that time. You know him, the Libyan president, Gaddafi.
He crowned the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi as the King of Kings of Africa. After Gaddafi was killed, the pastor anointed Zimbabwe's President Mugabe as the King of Kings. Mugabe was dethroned in a military coup in 2017. His successor is Emmerson Mnangagwa.
Today, we are witnessing the beginning of a new and unfolding democracy for our country.
President Mnangagwa is using a UN climate change conference to attract foreign investment.
Zimbabwe is open for business.
His presidential envoy is also at the conference and agrees to meet undercover reporters.
Zimbabwe is like really open for business when we say these things. Okay.
He says he has the president's authority to make a deal with Mr. Stanley.
The name is plenipotentiary. Pleni simply means full potential, means power, so full power. That means I can sign contracts, I can sign treaties with government without the president getting involved. And then they will be binding.
Hubert Angel is Zimbabwe's ambassador at large to Europe and the Americas. He's part of what we call the diplomatic mafia. He's also a self-proclaimed prophet. Angel leads the Good News Church, which has 15 branches around the world.
Woman with a tripped nerve.
He appears to heal the sick.
Yeah. It takes the power of God, but it takes somebody to believe for something to happen like this.
His prophecies include football scores from the English Premier League.
When it comes to football matches, I'm on TV, live TV, talking about it's going to be two, this one is going to score, this one is not going to score, and it's live around the world.
Before a match plays, we'll tell you if it's draw. Today is what? West Ham versus Leicester City, right? I'm just hearing.
Both teams scored 2-2, just as Prophet Angel prophesied. Powered by the Holy Spirit, Hubert Angel.
We have the men of God working with us.
President Mnangagwa appointed Angel to one of the country's highest diplomatic posts.
He is my first ambassador at large assigned to promote Zimbabwe brand. We had to subject this young man to training in diplomacy. It's difficult to train a prophet. We were surprised that he did well.
An ambassador at large, I'm ambassador to 85 countries. But on the special envoy, I'm a representative of the president.
You are representing the president.
Yeah. So if you then look on paper, on that position, I'm number 2. And there's no position like that in the country. It was just one position that was never filled in. And
It's created for you.
yeah, it was created.
So one and only one.
Miss Sin is another undercover reporter. She's posing as Mr. Stanley's financial advisor.
We are the government.
Yeah. That's right.
I can call the president now, not tomorrow, now, and put him on speaker. It's not an issue. The president is trying to create a legacy right now.
Yeah.
So it is the right time to strike now and go like we're in.
Angel claims to foretell the destiny of Africa's leaders.
4 days before the Ghana presidential elections, Prophet Hubert Angel gave the word of the Lord declaring the outcome.
No, it's not the rejection of Mahama. But he that is called Adonana shall remain in power.
And you want to know what will happen in the election in Zimbabwe? How many times have I spoken about it? All I'm saying is don't...
Mnangagwa's win in 2018 is known in advance.
Political parties.
There's no point supporting the opposition.
Don't waste your time wearing all these t-shirts and regalia and meeting people at these conferences and these meetings. Just concentrate on Jesus, eh? You waste your time.
Mnangagwa will also win Zimbabwe's next election. The deal to launder Mr. Stanley's money is safe.
Okay, let me just say, don't worry.
Yeah.
President. Don't worry about it. This president will be president until he dies. That's what that's a lot.
I get your word.
Of course, born in Africa, I was born in Kenya. And I've been to nearly 80% of Africa.
Kamlesh Patni's rise to become a fixer for Africa's leaders begins in his homeland.
We had embargo on the country in 89, 90. It was dictatorship that time. It was single party. President Moi, Arap Moi.
Daniel Arap Moi refuses to hold free elections. In protest, Western donors block aid. Patni then has a chance encounter.
I was just 24 years old. I was buying a suit in Nairobi and I met the director of intelligence. Then I told him about gold. I said, look, there's so much gold flowing through Kenya, but it's nothing Kenya is benefiting, it's not the gold.
Patni tells the intelligence chief he has a solution.
I said, I can create 500 million, every year from this if you do a proper license of this gold. So he took me to president.
Wow.
So I became advisor to the president, President Moi. So then he gave, exclusivity.
Patni's company, Goldenberg International, is granted an exclusive license to export Kenyan gold. Instead, gold from what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo is smuggled into Kenya. He sells it abroad and receives a 35% commission from the government. In total, Patni pockets $600 million. It's shared with Arap Moi and the government officials who gave him the license.
Kamlesh Patni is a criminal mastermind, is the only word to describe him. He managed to implement a illicit gold money laundering scheme, which nearly took away over 10% of the Kenyan GDP in value.
I've written books on that. I'll give you the book. Yeah, I've written on how democracy should work. But of course, in '92, there was a lot of fights, riots in the street, and they wanted multi-party.
Patni has advice for Arap Moi. His money will buy support for the president and weaken the opposition.
Just make it multi-party. Because the money is with you, you'll still win. But just for the show. I helped the president to survive.
Arap Moi retires after 24 years as president.
Opposition came in, then they discovered me. They said, who is this young person who kept the president in power and win the election? Then they fought me.
Patni appears in court, charged with fraud. At one point, he seems to be ill. Years later, the trial collapses, and he's never convicted.
This guy's a thief. He stole billions of taxpayers' funds. Shame on you. You know you stole billions and you got away. Huh? You're trying to master up. You're a thief.
This is just going to enrage me. I know this. The Kenyan courts went after him for nearly 13 years. He was acquitted of all charges scot-free. He moved to Zimbabwe to reinvent himself, found new religion, started his own church.
Glory be to God. I'm the one who now again changed Zimbabwe. Today the country is where it is because of the efforts we put in. Otherwise the currency would be useless.
In 2008, hyperinflation ravages Zimbabwe's economy. The central bank prints notes valuing billions in local currency. Zimbabwe's financial collapse follows sanctions imposed by the United States and Europe. The West punishes Zimbabwe's leaders for rigging elections and imprisoning opposition politicians.
We believe that Zimbabwe should not be a part of the international financial system. That means that they can't transact in dollars, so you have to figure out other ways to do that. And the way to do that is to turn your currency, for example, into gold. Because then you can move across the border with gold, and it's not hitting the international financial system at that point in Zimbabwe.
With gold, you can just shape-shift. You can move the gold without someone tracking it. So for a lot of autocratic governments, it is, I think, a trend that makes sense. It's much harder to enforce sanctions around it.
Patney makes deals with Zimbabwe's sanctioned leaders, which he claims help its people.
Right now, they are quite, stable, they're happy, they are recovering well. Although they still, as usual, the influences are there. But the good thing is that the president listens.
I'm number 2 in gold.
Who's number 1?
It's an Indian guy.
Indian guy. Yeah.
Pastor Paul. He's just a thief. He almost put Kenya into liquidation. That's how big he is.
Patney's rival is Ewan Macmillan. He's a gold trader and smuggler, known as Mr. Gold.
My family owned this business we have. So it was me, I owned it 100%.
Okay.
But then I gave shares to my 2 brothers. I went to jail first time for gold when I was 21. And then I went to do a lot of prison in the 90s.
Zimbabwe's gold exports are worth up to $2 billion a year. It's a cash business.
There's a lot of cash that we need to get out of Hong Kong and Macau because we don't want to leave it there.
Holy There is an opportunity, a hell of a big opportunity to wash money here. You can
That's what we are looking for.
You want US dollars in a bank account, which would be better to have a bank account in Dubai, US dollars. So then the best thing is to meet my partner from Dubai. And he knows how we do things here. And then he can help you with how you can bring the money here, no problem. I can give my partner gold in Dubai and he...
Hello, abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans one yes, see, never good out at all. About cock, I'm a what so.
Or don't. It's what's now I'm why you say a crow.
Sakakare, a yam, a crow, a juniper de aboso, and only Sunburst medicated ointment, a bebwao.
Maposu, Nihuna to me.
Who when Pedro be onya ments na ho mahonam ya enwu wani mase waposo complaining na etso betwa koto Sunburst herbal balm ye from mama Sunburst products edutwem
Obenya some best products. Our pharmacies, any herbal shops in them. To phone friend 0551 907 393. FDA, I did Jadi and Kratoyatum.
He can just pay you anywhere in the world. So I need him to come up with a plan of how to wash your money. And he's clever. He washes money for the Russians.
Mr. Gold's partner in Dubai is Alistair Matthias.
Alistair.
Young guy, huh?
Matthias is also a gold trader. He's a financial architect who builds money laundering schemes for corrupt politicians.
Thank you for coming.
No. Alistair, as I say, this is my partner from Dubai.
Yeah, Ewan was saying you helped the Russians.
Yes. Shut up.
We want to make sure that the mechanism works.
Okay.
I've been doing it for about almost 13 years now, 14 years.
Matthias offers to launder Mr. Stanley's money through his gold trading network across Africa.
Ghana I do 1 ton, so I do $40 million every month out of Ghana. This region I do what? Probably like about 500 to a ton again.
Yeah.
So I do roughly about $70-80 million every month. So we can export from Zambia, I can export from South Africa.
We have a company in Zambia, Angola, Mozambique. We can export from anywhere.
We're in Zimbabwe, we're in Malawi, we're in Zambia, we're in DRC Congo, we're in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda.
Patney is also based in Dubai.
Dubai is the headquarters. Dubai is the center for Africa. A banking center, financial center, it's tax-free. You don't need to have all the paper, too much.
Easier to do things.
It's much easier. We have our own license clearing at Dubai Abroad. We have permission of the Central Bank of Dubai. We have permission of Reserve Bank. We have the money laundering clearance certificates. Brilliant. We'll show you all that. We'll show you.
That's what you need. All the paper already. So
we'll show you that.
So it's smooth. Because I think you have so many structures already. We can just join it.
So this one is come via Dubai. So you can see our Dubai operation. That's where you'll understand the gold more. The one you want to do cash. When you see it physically, you see the process, then you will understand the security of it. Come and see my operations and my team in Dubai.
Every day have coming.
I think God sent you.
I hope to see you again.
God bless you.
Okay,
Praise the Lord. Praise God. Bloody Kenyan. I don't know how, but him and I, we're the same. I do 200 kilos a week. That's what we do, buy and sell.
Macmillan and his rival gold dealer Patney work for the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the country's central bank.
There's a Gold Act in Zimbabwe, which makes the central bank the overseer and control and official dealer of gold in Zimbabwe. The central bank was given that mandate because traditionally all currency has always been backed by the bullion.
Small-scale miners produce half of the country's gold. But Zimbabwe's central bank doesn't have enough money to buy gold from them.
I think that 80% of the gold mined in Zimbabwe gets smuggled out.
They said to me, go out and get all the gold that's being smuggled out the country.
Patney and Macmillan buy the gold on behalf of the central bank.
When a person comes to sell me gold, I don't have to write his name down. I don't have to do anything. I just take his gold, pay him, leaves. I deliver it to the government. Government asks me no questions.
We do 20 to 50 million a week. This one is 3 million.
The gold is delivered to a company owned by Zimbabwe's Reserve Bank.
Fidelity Printers and Refiners Private Limited incorporates security and commercial printing, gold refining, buying operations, and a mission to provide printing solutions and gold products to satisfy diverse stakeholder needs.
Fidelity Printers and Refinery. So the printing aspect is obvious. They print government material. Their big service is the gold refinery.
In return for their services, Patney and Macmillan are given licenses to sell the gold abroad.
The license. See, like this is 2 million. We have an account with Fidelity.
The competing mafias fly the gold to Dubai and sell it there. They bring the proceeds back to Zimbabwe in US dollars cash. The government needs US dollars because the local currency has no international value. The dollars buy more gold from the miners and fund further exports. The gold mafias use this scheme to launder money. They offer to help Mr. Stanley.
What would normally happen is we'd bank the gold, get the US dollars and fly it home to Zimbabwe.
Instead, Mr. Stanley is told to set up a gold trading company and bank account in Dubai. He can now get a license to import gold into the United Arab Emirates.
You're going to tell the bank that we're going to be trading in commodities or gold. The money will come to that account all the time.
They place clean money from the official sale of gold into Mr. Stanley's account.
You show that it's imported legally. You show that you sold it to a refinery and the money got paid in the bank account. It's very clean that way.
And now you have access to that money. That's your money. And then you're going to give us the US dollars cash from Hong Kong. We're going to come back with that.
Mr. Stanley's dirty money will be given to the gold mafia's couriers to bring to Zimbabwe. At Harare Airport, the dirty cash is declared as the proceeds from the sale of gold. Once declared, it is clean. Everything appears legal with the right paperwork.
There is yes. There is
1 million?
Cash. US dollar. Yeah,
The proceeds of the gold export will, in effect, be counted twice. Declared as clean in Zimbabwe and in Dubai.
I bring back the cash. That's how I buy the gold again.
And the money laundering cycle starts all over again.
The only illegal thing is you giving me the US dollars out of Hong Kong. But they don't know that.
Yeah, it's extremely sad. It's extremely sad. We've got world-class deposits of gold, but we have nothing to show for it, thanks to people like Mr. Macmillan. The biggest challenge Zimbabwe now faces is the existential threat that comes from this mafia, the gold mafia.
Patney then offers another way to get Mr. Stanley's dirty cash from Hong Kong to Dubai.
There are two ways of this. One is carry, yes. Or second is hawala.
Hawala is sort of a catch-all term for an informal way to move money outside of banking channels. That is, in its essence, hawala.
Hawala usually involves financiers with close family or personal ties who swap funds and keep track on ledgers.
Hawala is an incredibly common money transfer system, and it works very simply. You have somebody in country A, and they get money from a customer.
Let's say you want to send $100.
In our case, Patney's Hong Kong agent would take Mr. Stanley's dirty $100 bill.
They will mark it on their ledger as money received. They'll send a message to their counterpart saying, "We received this money, please pay out the same amount."
Another member of Patney's Hawala operation in Dubai would pay Mr. Stanley $100.
So $100 isn't actually physically sent, but on the other end, there's sort of a settlement of accounts done.
The two Hawala agents balance their books over time as customers send money in both directions.
On the one hand, it is a legitimate mean, sometimes the only mean for economic migrants to move money, but it can also be used as a way for criminals and criminal enterprises to evade detection through the banking system.
You want a gold? We can make the call right now, and it's done with the president of Miners Association right this minute. Yeah, just do this. Let me just call Rushwaya.
Henrietta Rushwaya heads Zimbabwe's Miners Federation. She's also the president's niece.
I've got my people here. Hey, shut up and listen. Let's talk business. Let's talk business. We'll talk about our stories later. Let's talk business. You want to just get gold. The other deals that we normally do with the people, like the one we did in Dubai, where they also want to invest in gold and buy gold, maybe send a private jet, picks up gold every week.
That's perfect. No, that's okay. Let's do it, bro. 100 kilos every week.
Oh, they're taking 100 kilos every week. Okay. Okay. But why? How many? They're getting it at less 4% in the world. Yeah.
Mr. Stanley is being offered to buy the gold at a 4% discount.
They're saying it's very good price. I think you should have said less 3%.
Definitely.
You should have said less 3%.
It was a mistake in the language.
Because that's 1%, my 1%. You've just blown my 1%.
Rushwaya's plan will clean $5 million a week on a revolving basis. It begins with a payment of $10 million in dirty cash into the government's refinery Fidelity.
They bring in 10 million, for instance. 5 million will be put into Fidelity for the duration of their relationship. They get gold worth 5 million every week, they take it out, bring another 5 million.
This continues until all his cash is cleaned. Henrietta Rushwaya's laundromat can wash even more of Mr. Stanley's dirty money.
So instead of bringing 20 million, 10 million, they put it to Fidelity.
Half the sum remains with Fidelity. $5 million a week is laundered as before, and an additional $5 million will be cleaned through one of Rushwaya's gold producers.
Then they give the other 5 million to the producer, who can actually add on to their weekly parcel that they take out.
Mr. Stanley can now launder $10 million a week.
You can easily open an account for them under one of your many companies. We are the only sector in the country that is paid in foreign exchange on cash basis.
All right. So when we finish, I'll call you again, then we talk. Hope you will be available.
Always available. You can hear and at your disposal.
Thank you, sis.
The ambassador has a local partner in mind for Mr. Stanley.
It's called Billion Group that I own. He is also part of Billion Group. So Billion Group is in Zimbabwe, operating in Zimbabwe, so that when you want a venture, you don't go for someone you don't know.
Angel is in Glasgow with President Mnangagwa for the UN Climate Change Conference. Angel offers Mr. Stanley a meeting with the president.
We're working on your meeting with him. He's at the meeting right now, so he finishes around 7, 8, 9.
The president
Mnangagwa claims that sanctions hinder Zimbabwe's commitments to a greener economy.
The removal of the illegal sanctions imposed on my country will undoubtedly enhance the timely achievement of our commitments.
Sanctions limit the ability of Zimbabwe's politicians and state entities to trade.
This country has sanctions. So the country can't sell the gold anywhere in the world. So an individual can sell it because he doesn't have sanctions.
Macmillan has family ties to another businessman involved in assisting the government to break sanctions.
He bankrolls this whole country. He phones up the governor, the Reserve Bank governor. Hi, I want a meeting. Okay, fine. What time? 3 at 11. I'm coming 11. Okay, fine.
He owns one of South Africa's largest cigarette manufacturers.
Hello, abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans when yes, see, never good out at all. About cock, I'm a what so.
Or don't. It's what's now I'm why you say. A crow.
Take a career, a yam, a crow, a juniper de aboso, and nunye. Sunburst medicated ointment, a bebwao.
Maposu, to me.
Weni Pedro biye onia ments na ho ma honam ya enwu wani maase waposo complain nyina etso betwa koto Sunburst herbal balm ye woni ama papa ye from mama Sunburst products edutwem
Obenya Sunburst products our pharmacies any herbal shops to phone friend 0551 907 393 FDA agidwadi enkratuo yatum.
He has a brand named after him. Simon Rudland runs his own mafia through his company Gold Leaf Tobacco. He's known as the boss.
He's massive. He is one mother, my friend. You have no idea how big he is.
Rudland exports more gold than Macmillan and Patney and has a different deal with the government. He's connected to Zimbabwe's ruling elite. His business partners include a retired general, a former sanctioned energy minister, and Mnangagwa's former Minister of Foreign Affairs. An ex-Minister of Mines buys a company from Rudland for over $800,000.
Simon Rudland, I know him 100%. He flew out the day before yesterday on a private charter.
Moses Nango works for South African Airways at Harare Airport. He offers to help the I-Unit's undercover team to smuggle gold.
I've been working at the airport for the last 23 years. I've been helping people to move gold. I've been helping people to move money. I've been helping people to move diamonds.
Moses describes how Rudland and his gold leaf mafia break sanctions on behalf of the Reserve Bank.
Simon Rudland has got a special deal.
What they do is, once if they get the gold, they get the escort all the way to the airport. They've got 3 to 5 people taking the shit out of the country.
They carry gold.
They give him the gold. He has a contract to move from Fidelity to Dubai.
They do rotations. At times there are 3 people at one flight, depending with the volume.
When they get by the security checkpoint, their bags are exempted to search.
They go with Emirates from Zimbabwe. It's EK714. That's the flight they leave with from Harare to Dubai.
They're normally traveling either business class or first class.
Someone has got serious buyers in Dubai already. Somebody's going to be waiting with the money.
The couriers exchange the bullion for cash and take the next flight back to Harare.
The same flight they left with, that's the same flight that they come back with. EK713 when it's leaving Dubai.
The couriers pass through immigration at Harare Airport.
They're all white. There's Kirkpatrick.
Flight manifests show he makes the trip 13 times in 2 months. An I-Unit surveillance operation observes Rudland's couriers at work. Talmage George Alexander is spotted in a check shirt. He flies to Dubai 7 times in the same period. Terence Ian Keith is carrying a black briefcase. His name appears on flight manifests 9 times in 2 months. Airport officials are waiting in Harare.
Johannes Swan.
They greet Johannes Swan as he arrives. Johannes Swan Sr. and his son Johannes Jr. appear on flight records a total of 10 times.
There's Peter Bowen.
Peter Bowen travels 10 times during the same 2-month period. The I-Unit obtains a Reserve Bank document authorizing Peter Bowen to export over 66 kilos of gold from Zimbabwe to Dubai. The surveillance team follows him. Bowen lands in Dubai at 6:40 in the morning. He hands over the gold and waits in the airport lounge. Just 3 hours after he arrives, he's back on the plane.
When they get here to Harare, they just come outside by the arrival exit, hand over the cash, get another consignment, got on the same flight, going back again.
Rudland's couriers earn cash for Zimbabwe's leaders in breach of Western sanctions.
Government says to him, I've got 400 kilos to move to Dubai. Then he exports the gold to Dubai and then brings the money back and gives it to Fidelity.
The gold is sold to a Dubai company, Orlean Global Trading. Orlean is also part of Rudland's business empire. It receives millions of dollars from the accounts of Rudland's company, Gold Leaf Tobacco.
The government broke here, so they don't have money to buy the gold. So he says, okay, don't worry, I'll lend you the money to buy the gold.
Rudland finances the sanctions-busting operation by providing an advance payment to Fidelity.
He gives Fidelity the money to buy the gold for him to export. Fidelity's debt with him is, at any one time, 200 million, 250 million. Now he's huge.
I think we are losing about $1 billion in illegal gold exports, which is a euphemism for gold smuggling. I think we are losing about $1 billion, and Simon Rudland is at the center of that.
This is Dimitro.
Hello.
Undercover reporters meet one of Kamlesh Patni's couriers.
He's a guy from Zimbabwe. He's the one who flies.
Dmytro Abakumov travels regularly between Dubai and Harare. He's also a director of one of Patni's companies in Zimbabwe. Our surveillance team observes him at work in Harare Airport.
We have to have a lot of documentation to be allowed to handle this.
A letter from Fidelity to Dubai Customs names Dmytro and a relative of Patni as couriers. It authorizes his company, Susan General Trading, to carry $3 million cash a week into Zimbabwe. The Reserve Bank announces that Susan's jewelry and gold exports are the country's top US dollar earner.
Susan has developed a network that gives it financial clout, generating $168 million in 2020.
Susan's business is considered so valuable in generating hard cash for Zimbabwe that the government pays it a bonus worth 18% of its exports. But documents obtained by the I-Unit reveal that it's all part of Patni's latest gold scam. We tracked down one of his former accountants.
He exports jewelry and gold bar to Dubai or rest of the world. In the exchange, he has to bring foreign currency to Jim. On paper, he's bringing money to Jim.
When Patni's couriers return to Harare from their Dubai trips, they declare their cash at the airport.
Anyone bringing currency has to declare at the airport with the form 47 that generally we call blue form.
Sometimes they're bringing some cash from there and they declare it, but amount is less.
Sammy worked at one of Patni's businesses in Harare. We've concealed his identity.
They're not declaring actual amount. They're bringing like 50,000, sometimes 100,000, but they declare as like 1 million and 2 million.
One blue form records Patni himself bringing $1.2 million in cash. The money is the proceeds of jewelry sold in Dubai. But Patni doesn't bring $1.2 million back to Zimbabwe.
They give bribe to the custom guy there. They tell them to stamp their blue form, put the amount there, that they are bringing 1.2 million, but actually he did not bring that 1.2 million amount.
Raj records the actual amount returned by Patni in his ledgers. Instead of $1.2 million, he brings less than 100,000.
We have to officially declare at the airport. This is the airport declaration.
He leaves the bulk of the money from the sale of gold in Dubai.
Customer declaration.
The flight number, you can see that. Yeah.
Patni now has insufficient funds for the next round of gold buying. In order to keep his export license, he's required to buy gold from small-scale miners.
Now he needs more money to buying gold in Harare. So he collects from market.
Patni makes up the shortfall from the Hawala market. He collects cash from Zimbabwean clients who want to send US dollars to Dubai. He uses their money to buy the gold, which is exported and sold as before. Patni claims his 18% commission from the Zimbabwean government. In Dubai, he pays his Hawala clients with the proceeds of the gold sale.
He collects that money, he get his commission, he paid them in Dubai.
The much-needed hard cash doesn't enter Zimbabwe's economy.
With the gold export, Kamlesh Patni pretending that he's helping the country with the foreign reserve. He's not bringing any foreign currency inside the country. He's taking all foreign reserve outside the country. So he's just making fool of the people around him, the government officials.
I'm not stupid. I have 2 degrees in finance. So I've done a lot, okay? I'm in the Forbes magazine. I've been in the Forbes rich list of 2013.
Yes.
Yeah, Africa Forbes rich list.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm also a minister of the gospel.
Yeah.
We will bring the capital, the cash. Basically, we want to invest the money. Yeah, and
What Mr. Stanley is saying is it's money that cannot be declared in the country of origin.
We've already discussed it. That we don't want to talk about.
But we have the blessing and it won't get us in trouble.
Trust me, I did this, okay? This is what I told you. And we got that. Okay. This is going to be how much?
at the beginning, at least 1 million something.
1 billion?
Yeah.
Now, we have done maybe for 200 million, 300 million, but we have not done for 1 billion per se.
Angel and his assistant take Mr. Stanley aside.
What I'm telling you, I'm the second largest diplomat in the country. Do you know I can carry him in a bag and nobody's allowed to touch his bag? I can carry him in a bag and nobody touches the bag. Right now I can put him in a bag like this with 1.2 billion and put a red tape written diplomat. That's it.
He'll use his diplomatic cover to fly Mr. Stanley's $1.2 billion into Zimbabwe.
So it's a very, very easy thing.
It will land in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe can't touch it.
Yeah.
Until I get to my house. Yeah. Yeah, you can understand.
Oh,
so you can be a diplomatic player.
In episode 2 of The Gold Mafia, Simon Rudland needs a money launderer.
He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He controls 90% of this government.
Then he finds one.
He's held up as this shadowy figure that controls money laundering in South Africa.
There was 50 million rand in cash in the houses, in suitcases.
And Mr. Stanley's meeting with President Mnangagwa comes at a price.
Because his time is so valuable, the facilitation fee will be $200,000.
Stanbest Healthcare, the one you
Hello, abusiafo. But Sunburst medicated powder. Now on your form. Hey, say when a man in swans one yes see. Never good now to talk. About cock I'm a what so.
Or
Hey, tell me. It's what now I'm on why you say. A crow.
Take a career, a yam, a crow, a juni pediaboso, and nunye. Sunburst medicated ointment, a bebwa.
Maposu, me who to me.
Who when Pedro be onia, meant na home man am ya enwu wani masi. Waposu complaining na, et so betra, koto Sunburst herbal balm. You're from Mama Sunburst. Sunburst products, educhem.
Obenya Sunburst products, our pharmacies, any herbal shops in name. To phone friend 0551 907 393. FDA, I did Jedi and Kratio Yatum.